back to Daf Mastery. Hope you're all enjoying Masechtas Megillah. Of course, we have plenty of Agadita in this first parak. I'm going to discuss a few problems. Feel free to jump around and tackle whichever problems you're interested in and give me your feedback in the Slack group. The first one is about Daf Vav Amud Aleph. The Gemara there tells us how Zevulun complained. They looked at, in particular, at Naphtali's portion, and they have the vineyards, the fields, and Zevulun complained. We'll refer to Zevulun in singular. Of course, it's the tribe of Zevulun. And the Gemara tells us how Hashem assured Zevulun that no, you have actually some riches hidden in your portion. In particular, you have the chilazon creature that provides the techeles. It's worth a lot of money. And Zevulun was still nervous. How are we going to monetize this? Maybe others will steal it. And Hashem again assured Zevulun that won't happen. You will be able to earn money from the resources in your portion. The question is very simple. We learn a fundamental principle in Pirkei Avos. Ezehu Asher, who is rich, Sameach Bechalko. One who is joyous, is happy, very, very satisfied and happy with whatever lot Hashem has given him in life. It really is a cornerstone of bitachon. And it's really, there's a couple parts to it, the way I understand it, is that first of all, we often have no idea how something really is actually very good in an obvious sense. You know, we prejudge, we jump to the conclusion, oh, we got a bad lot, we were unlucky, we got something bad, when in fact turns out to be good, like the classic, misses the flight and then the plane goes down. That would be obviously extreme, but that concept. Second of all, even if a person has a difficult olam hazeh, it's a fundamental side of our emunah that whatever Hashem is doing to a person is l'toiva. We just finished Tainus with Nachum Ish Gamzu. This is Bitachon 101, which is that we trust that whether we end up understanding it in olam hazeh or not, whatever's happening to us is for the best. That's how we carry ourselves. We have bitachon in that very important principle. And yet, Zevulun complained. There's no indication in Hashem's response that I could see that Hashem was critical of Zevulun complaining. Just the opposite. Hashem assures Zevulun a lot. Says, no, you really have this, you have the chilazon, you have the white glass, and no, don't worry that you won't be able to make money from it. So it seems that this wasn't inappropriate. So my question is, how to understand that in light of the many Mamari Chazal, Sameach, Bechalko, etc., 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 Gamzu L'Taiva, seemingly the midah of bitachon, that cornerstone of our emunah, should have precluded any kind of complaint like this. It should have made this whole complaint inappropriate. Next question is about Megillah Daf Zayin. So here we have the description of the back and forth between Esther and the other Chachamim of the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, who, the question was, should we actually add Sefer to Tanakh called Megillah Esther? And the Gemara characterizes the story of Purim as a fight against Amalek. For Haman was from Amalek, so it really is just another struggle against Amalek. And the Gemara there tells us, she said to the Chacham, Kisvuni l'dair, let's write this, let's add this to the Sifrei Tanakh. And they sent back, Haloi chasafti lacha shalishim, quoting from Mishlei, I've written for you 3 times. Shileshim v'lo ribeim, where it says this establishes that there's a cap. We already mentioned the Mecham against Amalek, the mitzvah to eradicate Amalek is already mentioned in Tanakh 3 times. At least according to the way the Gemara initially understands. So that's it, we maxed out. Can't write another Sefer of Tanakh with Mecham Amalek. Been there, done that. Question is very simple. Why should there be a maximum? It's mitzvah netara, Mecham Amalek, Mechiyas Amalek. Why would there be any kind of notion of don't talk about it more than 3 times? Why? Why not discuss the mitzvah any number of times? That's something that I'd like to try and figure out with you. And then we come to Megillah Yud Aleph Amud Beis, and the Gemara explains how Achashveirosh repeated a very silly, very audacious and terrible thing that Belshazzar did, which was that he took out the kalim from the base of Migdash that had been captured by Nebuchadnezzar, by Rishon. He took out those kalim at the party and just used them, disgraced them. And the Gemara tells us why Belshazzar thought he could get away with this, and then why Achashveirosh thought he could get away with this. And it goes through a whole calculation based on the pasuk in Yirmiyah, that there's this number 70, a 70 of the Galus Bavel, and as we saw in the Gemara there, it goes through exactly how each melech made the calculation and concluded, okay, 70 years that the prophet predicted that the Jews are supposed to be redeemed are up. They're not being redeemed, so it must be their God abandoned them, so I can act with impunity. Belshazzar made a calculation. It was off. He started the clock too early, so he was promptly killed when he did that. And Achashveirosh said, oh no, I have the right calculation. And so he went ahead and he said, according to my calculation, it starts a little later than Belshazzar thought. Therefore, according to my smarter calculation, the 70 years are up, so I'm going to use the kalim now. The Gemara says he was wrong too, and as a result, let's see the words. He went and apik money to be makdash of hishtamish. He went and used the kalim just like Belshazzar had done. Ba satan v'riked b'nei and v'haragas Vashti. He was wrong, and so the Satan was given permission to dance among them, and the Satan killed his wife Vashti. So the first question is, why was Vashti killed? Achashveirosh was the one who went and used the kalim. He was the one who did the sin. Why wasn't he killed? Next question on this part of it is, what is this description? It doesn't just say, Achashveirosh was wrong, he did a terrible avera, Hashem did not abandon Bnei Israel, so Hashem killed Vashti. Why does it say the Satan came and danced among them and killed Vashti? What's up with that? It seems like a very unusual, roundabout way of describing this. What is the significance of that description? And finally, on the same overall topic, the Gemara ends up explaining that there's some serious problems with Achashveirosh's calculation, like very glaring problems. Number one, there's a pasuk in Daniel which describes the calculation totally different. It says it goes from the time of Churban Yerushalayim, which would push off the calculation significantly. which was the actual correct way to calculate it. And the Gemara ends up saying that the way the 70 years themselves were counted is flawed. It says Shana Mikutos Havu, which means that there was overlap, like one king took over in the middle of the year of the previous king, so you weren't supposed to count that year twice. So that added some more years. So not exactly a very, very subtle problem. These are basic problems with the calculation. So you're talking about Achashveirosh saw what happened to Belshazzar. It didn't end well for him. He was well aware of this. So you would think that he would be a little bit, exercise a little bit more judgment and go through this properly. How could he make such a gross error? There's an opinion on Yud Beis that says Achashveirosh was a pikeach. He wasn't a dumb king. He was very clever, very crafty. He was smart. So if he was smart, and you're talking about potentially, suicide, why in the world, what could have brought Achashveirosh to make such silly mistakes? Right, so those are the problems. They're all in the source sheet. If you want to read them over and look at the sources, jump into the discussion. Let me know what you think, and I'll come back in another video to discuss solutions.